Good morning, everybody. Yes, that's right. It is morning because we're doing another crock pot recipe. It's fairly early, still in my pajamas, because this one takes a while to cook. Even in my crazy crock pot, it's going to take a while because we are using dried beans in this recipe. So they take a while to cook all the way through. So, what I'm making is a black bean slow cooker soup. I mean, pretty much really what it is. There is a little prep with the dried beans before we start this, which I've already done this morning. Um, well, really, you're supposed to soak them overnight, but for people like me who forget the night before to soak them overnight, you could prep them in the morning. Just put them in a pot. I just use a regular pot. Put a pound of black beans in there, cover them with water, bring it to a boil them for 2 minutes, cover the pot, turn the heat off, and let it sit for an hour. It's good as soaking them overnight. So I have my beans in my sink. I'm going to grab them. I just drained them, and I'm going to put these right in my crock pot. They're not completely soft yet. That was just kind of like to prep them a little bit so they're not like completely hard still. They've puffed up a little bit, but they are still pretty firm in the middle. And that's why this soup takes a while. So in there, got my beans. And then I have an onion, a red pepper, and one jalapeno. You can use 2 jalapenos, up to you, depends on how spicy you want it. Since the kids are eating this, I'm only doing the 1 jalapeno. Because you also add some cayenne in there too if you want to. Not, it's optional, don't worry about it if you don't have to. All right, now we're gonna throw in some garlic, like 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. I'm gonna do a can of diced tomatoes. Again, I always use no salt added because then I can adjust the seasoning as I want to. We're gonna throw in some chili powder, probably about 2 tablespoons of chili powder. Again, at the end, you can adjust your seasonings depending on how salty, how spicy, how seasoned you want everything. All right. And then we're going to add some cumin, about 2 teaspoons of this. And paprika, 1 teaspoon of paprika. There we go. Again, cayenne is optional. I'm just going to put a little bit in, and again, if it's not super spicy later on, I might add a little more. Just kind of depends. You can always get those jalapenos. Some of them are like super mild, and some of them are like burn your mouth off. So you never really know. So I have the one in there. It was about this big. It wasn't huge, but again, it could be super spicy. I did take the seeds and the veins out. So we'll have to just see later on once this cooks for a while. All right, so black pepper and then some salt. There's no salt on the beans, no salt on the tomatoes, so I'm gonna add a decent amount here because those beans are gonna soak this up. Probably about 2 to 3 teaspoons of salt. You don't want it super salty, but again, the beans are not salted since they didn't come in a can. And then just 4 cups of broth. I'm using chicken broth. You can use veggie broth. You can use pretty much whatever you want. I'm just using chicken broth because that's what I had in the basement. So we're just going to add this in. And the recipe says to cook this on high for 6 hours. So I'm going to start it on high. I will probably check it about halfway through. I may turn mine down to low. Again, crazy crock pot that, cooks everything super, super fast. So it's gonna kind of depend on your crock pot, I'm thinking here. Like I said, I'm gonna start it on high, and after about 3 hours, I'll probably check it and see how the beans are. If they're starting to soften really nicely, I will probably turn it down to low and let it go on low the rest of the 6 hours. Because you will be pureeing this if you want to, or pureeing part of it if you want to at the end. So you want to make sure that your beans are soft enough to do that, and you're not going to get chunks, and who wants to eat crunchy beans anyway? So I'm just going to plug this in and turn it on low for 6 or high on 6 hours. And then I will be back to show you the rest, and I'll also be dressed. Have a good afternoon, guys. See you later. All right, it's been 6 hours. These beans are done. So I am going to, you can puree it, you can leave it the way it is, you can puree some of it, doesn't matter. I think I'm just going to puree a little bit of it, pecan child. And I use the immersion blender. If you guys don't have one of these, you can transfer some of it to a regular blender. That's fine too. So I'm just going to like puree some in here, and then we'll see when it gets to a consistency I like.
Like, it's like chili, so like a chili consistency.
Thank you,
Think of it
Kaden.
as like making chili.
You think so? Kaden, get your face out of
Thanks for
there.
watching it.
Alright. That looks pretty good. I want to leave some chunks in there. 'Cause
Hi, viewers.
I like chunks of
Chunky.
stuff. So,
It's nice and chunky.
alright, can you look out so I can put this in the sink, please? Look out!
Excuse me.
Alright, so it's pretty much done. And you
You
guys
just
can.
gotta add this and this.
That's in each bowl.
But this goes at the end.
Yes. So you can.
Fancy.
You can serve it with cilantro. I have some cilantro, avocado, Greek yogurt, or sour cream, whatever you want.
Can you put basil on it?
I don't know if you want to put basil on it. There's really no flavors
You
in here that
can if you
complement. You
want.
could if you really wanted to. But we're doing cilantro. You can put
cilantro
rice in there. I have some tofu in the oven that I'm just crisping up, and I'm just going to put that in there. If you wanted to use a different meat, you could. Any meat would probably taste good with this. Just throw it in there after you puree it, otherwise it would get all like gunky and stuff and pasty, and you don't want pasty
Couldn't you
meat.
add 3 like green onions?
You can add green onions, yes.
You can add that too. Which one?
So totally up to you how you want to customize this to your and your family's tastes. We're just choosing to keep it vegetarian tonight. So
Vegetarian.
I thank you guys for
Except
watching.
for the meat.
There is no meat.
Wait, there is no meat?
No, there's no meat.
I can't
Thank you
live
guys
without
for
meat.
watching. This took like twice as long as it should have because of these two in here.
Because we're annoying.
Yeah. Just make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, like, and comment below. And if you're watching this on Instagram, make sure you head over to my profile and follow me so you don't miss an episode of